It's October 27th, 2020, and this is Sketchworks NewsBrake. The news stops here. I'm Brian Troxell. Amy Coney Barrett is the newest justice on the U.S. Supreme Court. The Senate approved her nomination despite some criticism of her views, her judicial background, and her perceived lack of law experience. Barrett plans to prove she has experience to be a U.S. Supreme Court justice by sexually harassing other people and challenging Brett Kavanaugh to a game of beer pong. Vice President Mike Pence skipped the confirmation vote for Barrett after several of his aides tested positive for COVID-19. The White House instead sent the fly that landed on his head during the debate. Senate Democrats accused Senate Republicans of hypocritically supporting Barrett's nomination after opposing that of Merrick Garland in 2016. Republicans say Democrats are hypocrites for opposing Barrett's nomination after insisting Garland be confirmed in 2016. Here's some breaking news. All politicians are hypocrites. Every single one of them. All of them. Speaking of hypocrites, former U.S. Senator Harry Reid says Democrats should eliminate the decades-old Senate practice of requiring 60 votes to pass legislation. The only reason we're even mentioning this in NewsBrake is because one of our writers noticed the photo used in the original story makes Reid look like the guy in Raiders of the Lost Ark whose face melts off. Halloween is in 4 days. And then 3 days after that is an even scarier day. Election Day.
Brian, don't forget to vote.
Hey, Matt Metzger. Thanks for the reminder, but we have early voting here in Georgia, so I've already voted. I hope filming is going well in the campaign. It's a D&D show, not a politics show. So it's actually enjoyable. Halloween has already been celebrated at the White House with hundreds of trick-or-treaters joining in on the festivities. The scariest costumes were those that didn't involve masks. In last Thursday's final debate between President Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden, Trump said he was the least racist person in the room. His microphone was muted before he finished that sentence with, "at my campaign rallies." The first murder hornet nest in the U.S. is no more. Washington State Agriculture Department scientists donned their spacesuits and removed 98 hornets from a nest they found along the Canadian border. They decided it was quicker to remove the hornets themselves rather than wait for rising property values to force them out. The hornets will be relocated to a nice farm in the country where they can live out the rest of their lives in peace. Nah, just kidding. The murder hornets were photographed, antenna printed, and are now awaiting extradition to Xinjiang, China, where they will be tortured along with Uyghur Muslims in a re-education camp.
Brian, for God's sake and all that is holy, don't forget to vote.
Thank you, Kathy Poley. But like I said earlier, I've already voted. It's taken care of, it's in the books, it's done, it's all finished. An Englishman has been caught after breaking into a house and leaving a bag with his name and home address at the scene. The crime was so brazen, yet so obvious, Republicans are asking him if he'd be interested in running for president. Also in the United Kingdom, pediatricians this week urged the government to provide free meals to poor children during the holidays. While many Brits oppose the idea by saying things like, "If you're too poor to feed your kids, you shouldn't have kids," the hungry children respond, "Please, sir, I didn't ask to be born." Which dovetails nicely into this story. After being trapped inside for 6 years, the UK's fattest man, weighing in at 700 pounds, had to be hoisted from his home by a crane, which means that he was saved the only way Miley Cyrus knows how. Naked and like a wrecking ball. Still in the UK, since apparently we're trapped in lockdown here, in an attempt to stop the spread of the coronavirus, the government has ruled that only cohabitating people can have sex. This seems to be encouraging people to get married to someone they aren't in love with because of an unfortunate situation. You know, like your parents had to. NASA confirms water does exist on some parts of the moon. Now, don't get excited. So far, they've only found molecules and not actual water itself. Scientists plan to fix that by bringing in some water bottles from the kitchen down the hall from NASA's Moon soundstage. In other space news, NASA successfully landed a spacecraft on a small asteroid to grab some rock samples. Mission managers compare it to trying to get a car into a parking space from 200 million miles away. Sketchworks NewsBrake has exclusive footage showing how NASA is planning for the next asteroid mission.
NASA parking test 335-A. Parking test deemed failure.
Science is fascinating stuff. Lawyers have been unable to contact the parents of 545 migrant children who were separated by
Now commencing NASA test 473-Z. Remind Brian Troxel to vote. Hey Brian, don't forget to vote.
Thanks for the reminder, NASA, but you failed again because, as I've said several times now, I've already voted last Thursday. Lawyers have been unable to contact the parents of 545 migrant children.
Mission success. Nice.
You know, whatever looks good in the paperwork. Lawyers have been unable to contact the parents of 545 migrant children who were separated by U.S. border officials. Although if I was the parent of 545 children, I'd probably take a day or two to call back as well. A Walmart in Edmond, Oklahoma was evacuated last Friday after a skunk wandered into the store. Can I ask why the greeters didn't do anything? Now, if you've ever been to a Walmart in Oklahoma, you know that skunk was probably not the smelliest thing in there. President Trump commented, "He is always the least smelly person in any Walmart." California police recovered a pair of Australian lace monitor lizards stolen from a Long Beach reptile shop last year. The rare lizards can grow up to 6 feet long and are valued together at $75,000. The police declined to say how they were able to track down the animals, but I have a feeling it was because crooks just love posting about their lives on Facebook. Speaking of crooks, New York State Correction Department data shows COVID-19 is tearing through a prison where a staggering 242 cases were reported in one day, as if inmates needed another reason to not drop the soap. A Chinese family of 9 has died after eating year-old noodles they found in their fridge. Authorities say this is the worst food-related disaster since I grilled hamburgers while the Atlanta Falcons gacked away the Super Bowl a few years ago.
Don't forget to vote, Brian.
I don't even know who that is. She seems nice, though. But apparently there's an election next week, which none of us would know about if it weren't for those ridiculous campaign mailers. For more on this, we go to NewsBrake correspondent and the one voted most likely to throw away her vote on a third-party candidate, Allie O'Neill.
I love getting the daily funnies, also known as absurdist campaign ads. They're so dystopian. I love the aesthetic. I get a lot for this guy named Chuck. Here he is being supported by some women. Here he is with a nice diverse-looking group. I didn't even know who he was running against until I got this one, which is apparently supposed to be a bunch of bad things, but he kind of makes a really good case for his opponent. Hemingway supports the Democrats' dangerous plan to remake America with their socialist ideas. Sweet. Hemingway wants to empower unions. Rock on. Hemingway supports socialized medicine, as any decent person should. Hemingway is supported by a radical liberal special interest group that supports outlawing plastic grocery bags and styrofoam takeout containers. You know, I was with her up until then, but the outlawing of plastic bags is just too much. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with my Aunt Sharon, but she is part of a group that uses plastic grocery bags to make blankets for the homeless. They call themselves the Bag Ladies, and they meet at First Baptist every Monday. And when I look at these women, I see a whole army of my countrymen here in defiance of tyranny. They've come to knit plastic bags as free men, and free men they are. What would you do without freedom? Will you fight? Aye. Fight and you may die. Run and you'll live, at least a while. And dying in your beds many years from now. Would you be willing to trade all the days from this day to that for one chance, just one chance, to come back here and tell our enemies that they may take our plastic bags, but they'll never take our freedom?
Thank you, Allie, for that insightful analysis.
Ooh, and don't forget to vote for Howie Hawkins, Brian. For Sketchworks NewsBrake, I'm Allie O'Neill.
Again, I've already voted. And it wasn't for Herbie Hancock. We spent some time in the UK earlier, so let's head over to Germany for a while, since travel is so cheap these days. Police in Berlin were called in to break up a fetish party due to coronavirus limits. 250 tickets were bought ahead of time for this open-air event, but as many as 600 people showed up. All of the participants were sent home. And what's worse, they didn't even refund our tickets. For updates on next year's German fetish party, be sure to follow Sketchworks Comedy on social media, subscribe to us on YouTube, and visit sketchworkscomedy.com every other day at the very least. Handwritten speeches by Nazi dictator Adolf Hitler sold at an auction in Munich on Friday. Can you imagine how much dried spit is probably on those? Hitler was definitely a spray it, not say it style of speaker. President Trump commented that his speeches are the least spit-stained of anyone in the room. A German man said he isn't done getting tattoos and piercings, despite already having the world record for body modifications with 516. The man said he didn't get his first tattoo until age 40, which is the same age I was when I set the world record for least sex by an American citizen. With fears of an imminent lockdown due to a spike in COVID-19 cases, toilet paper and disinfectant sales are surging as Germans start panic buying. And when the Germans panic, we're all in trouble. Thus ends our sojourn to Germany. Be sure to quarantine for 14 days before watching another video. The World Series resumes tonight with Game 6 between the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Tampa Bay Rays. The Dodgers hold a 3-2 lead and can bring LA its second championship in a month with one more victory. Here with a preview is NewsBrake sports correspondent Dave Deutschel.
Live here at a soccer game. During the coronavirus, I was told it was a football game, but apparently it's soccer. They call soccer football. Back in my day, it was called kick the ball in the street. We got a great game here, I guess. I don't know, they're just running around like a gaggle of scallywags. I want to interview number 29. 29. How's it going? You getting pumped up for the game?
Yeah.
Anything else? What position do you play? In this game we call soccer, but it's called football.
I'm playing defense.
How's defense working for you?
It's okay. I like standing more back there.
Are you a Cubs fan?
Yeah.
Okay, not a good start to the day. You may be disappointed. Got a tight game here, 1-1. Blue against red. Look at those kids go. Running around. Number 13's got the ball, or is that 12? I don't know. Go! I was promised juice boxes and orange slices, but apparently there are no juice boxes or orange slices. And I'm highly disappointed. That apparently was my second concussion of the day. I'm Dave something or other. Back to you, Brad.
Thank you, Dave, I think, and get well soon. A mother says she is mortified after accidentally donating not a bag of old clothes, but a bag of used sex toys. In other news, does anyone know where I can buy batteries in bulk? IKEA stated it will be buying back its used furniture for World Recycling Day. This complements IKEA's other company day of, why did I ever think it was a good idea to purchase a 400-piece cabinet just to save $20? Burger King announced plans to allow customers to take their food home in reusable burger boxes, because nothing screams, I've hit rock bottom, more than leaving Burger King knowing you'll be coming back. Former coal baron Robert Murray died at the age of 80. He spent decades fighting federal regulations meant to protect miners from black lung disease. Before he died, Murray applied for federal black lung benefits. Cause of death, irony. Tiger King star Carole Baskin has come out as bisexual, stating, I could just as easily have a wife as a husband. It's just as easy to kill a wife and feed her to a tiger. Asexual, bisexual, or heterosexual, they all still taste like chicken.
Hey, Brian, don't worry about voting. I got you. I already turned yours in. Same, Tim, Allie, I got yours too, actually a couple times, so you're more than taken care of.
Excellent. Thank you, Bill Sabrak. Now I can cancel out my own vote. A Brazilian politician was arrested this week after anti-corruption officers found he had stuffed thousands of dollars into his underwear during a raid. When asked what he was doing, he explained it was the old tuck-and-run defense. An analysis by the Pew Research Center found that just 10% of Twitter users produced 92% of all tweets from U.S. adults since last November. Those numbers show that, mathematically, those Twitter users are 9 times bigger assholes than everyone else. Facebook is getting into the video game business. It has a new gaming service that lets you play games while using Facebook. Its most popular game so far is Don't Forget to Vote. Unless you've already voted, in which case, just forget about it. And remember to set your clocks back an hour this Sunday as daylight saving time comes to an end. So tell your mom I'll be an hour later than usual this week. That's all for Sketchworks NewsBrake. We'll be back next week for Election Day, and we hope you are too. I'm Brian Troxel.
This one's my favorite. Socialism is on the march. Liberals want to bring it to Georgia. I wish.
4 more years of Georgia, he is going to find ourselves in a position where if Trump gets elected, we're going to be in a different world.